What's up, guys? All right. So we had 2 transports tonight, Vernon and Rhodes, for head and neck. I don't have anything back on either one of them yet, but bonuses went to the Hawaiian Hitman, Zakir, Wolverine, and then tonight's crypto performance bonus winner is Luke Simmons. He gets $10,000 in crypto. Doesn't suck getting crypto right now. Good for him. Congrats. So before we get started here, let me get some fucking dumb shit out of the way first here. I'm out here, have fun doing Power Slap tonight. And I'm sure you guys heard what Bryce Mitchell said. If you haven't, he said some probably, I've heard a lot of dumb, ignorant shit in my day, but this one's probably the worst. When you talk about Hitler, he's responsible for the death of 6 million Jews, and he tried to completely eliminate a race of people. World War II was the deadliest war in history. 15 million military deaths, 45 million civilians, and 25 million soldiers were killed in World War II. Second of all, Hitler is one of the most disgusting and evil human beings to ever walk the face of the earth, and anyone that even tries to take an opposing position is a moron. That's the problem with the internet and social media. You provide a platform for a lot of dumb, ignorant people. We've obviously reached out to Bryce, and when we read what he said and let him know how we feel about it, we're beyond disgusted. So, for those of you that don't know what's going on, good, you're lucky. For those of you that do, that's what I have to say about it. Who's got the first question?
Hey, Dana.
Hey.
It's obviously not a fun topic to talk about, the Bryce stuff. I think that's a great statement that you just gave. Does Bryce Mitchell face a punishment from the UFC for saying
That's what everybody wants to hear about punishments. Free speech. I don't have to love it. You don't have to love it. You know.
I agree with that, the free speech sentiment. Is there a concern, though, right, if he goes out and wins a fight and gets a mic?
Well, that's the beautiful thing about this business. For all of you that hate Bryce Mitchell, you get to see him hopefully get his ass whooped on global television. I mean, what do you want me to say about it? You know where I am with free speech? We're disgusted by it. I think he's probably one of the dumbest, literally one of the dumbest human beings. Let's not forget that this is a guy who took a drill through his nutsack, then had to reverse it and put the drill back out of his. That's the level of stupid that we're talking about here. And I could probably go on for 10 minutes talking about how dumb Bryce Mitchell is. But guess what? Bryce Mitchell has a podcast.
I believe this was episode 1.
What a way to start. But that's the world that we live in now. Dumb people who are really stupid and really ignorant can have a voice. We don't have to agree with it. We don't have to like it. I'm giving you mine and the UFC's position on what he had to say. You know, and this is no different than things that I've said about Strickland, you know. But I will say this. Out of all the dumb, ignorant shit I've heard in my life, this has to be the dumbest and most ignorant.
Last thing from me on this. When you spoke to Bryce about it and said, this is disgusting, did he have any sort of like, oh, I was just talking, or did he walk it back at all?
His thing was, I'm sorry if I put you guys in any position, and, you know.
But not sorry for saying.
He's stupid. He's dumb. You can't fix dumb people. You know what I mean? When you have somebody that's really, really stupid, and that's who we're talking about here, what do you do? How do you talk sense to a dummy? You don't.
Well, we'll move on to tonight. I think the last time Dumpling and the Crazy Hawaiian fought each other, it wasn't a great event, right? There's a few draws that night and stuff like this. I would say that tonight, if you were going to show anyone a Power Slap event, you could just show them this and they would get the whole sport pretty quickly.
Yeah, tonight was great. I mean, the prelims were off the charts. The early prelims that we do when nobody's in the crowd, you guys weren't here for those. They were incredible. They were unbelievable fights. So that was a winner. Then the prelims of tonight were great. And then the main card Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Would you like to specifically shout out Rhodes? I feel like he, the toughness he showed getting up again and again.
What's the question?
Would you like to shout out Brandon Rhodes? He lost the slaps, but he kept getting up. I saw you get up on the platform and spoke to him.
100%. I walked over and told him, we're paying you to win money. You are an absolute badass, tons of heart, and much respect to you.
What was His Excellency's opinion of Power Slap tonight?
What was the what?
What was His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh's opinion?
I haven't talked to him about it yet. This thing aired on television all over the Middle East and in other parts of the world, including being on Rumble. So, I don't know. I'll talk to him tomorrow.
I feel like this sport obviously started and grew from social media. But tonight, like I've been to a couple of the live events, but tonight the crowd was probably the loudest I'd ever heard. Do you feel now like the social media has done its bit and the way to grow this sport even more is to get more live events and show people at home going to this is as fun as watching it?
The last event at the Fountain Blue was pretty insane. It was insane. It was the one that Dumpling fought in too. Yeah, what I do like is when you go on the road, people who've never seen it live before, and you get the reaction that you got tonight from the crowd. Yeah, that's how this works, though. You know what I mean? You start with airing it and letting people see it, and then as you take your live event, I'm so confident in this live event. It's just like the UFC when you walk out of one of these live events. It's like, gotta admit that was a fun night.
Thanks, Dana.
Go ahead, sir. Who's next? Go ahead.
How do you turn these guys into mainstream stars? They all often get millions of views on TikTok and social media anyway, but how do you kind of get that crossover audience for stars like Dumpling and the female fighters that were fantastic tonight as well?
How do we get the crossover?
Yeah, how do you get them to be mainstream stars as opposed to fans who just see the clips on social media?
When you think about this thing is 2 years old, right? And when you look at the UFC and think about how long it took us to build, we're way ahead of where we were 2 years in with the UFC. These things take time, and I think that we've done a great job of moving around as fast as we have. If you think of all the shows we've done in just 2 years, when we started the UFC, we were only doing 5 events a year. This was, we're going in 2 years. We're going on our 12th event here.
After some of the guys were getting slapped, they were trash talking each other right to their face within seconds. That doesn't happen in any other combat sport, which was intriguing. It was exciting to see. Is it difficult to find those characters? I felt like it was a lot more entertaining seeing that kind of action entertainment during the night.
Well, it's a great point. As it starts to get bigger, and more importantly, as more money starts to get involved, you start to get a different level of athletes, more people that want to do it. Tonight was your first night, right, live? What'd you think live?
Yeah, it was great. I was going to say I went in there to see 1 or 2 fights and I came out after about 4 or 5. It's quite gripping. Do you notice that when people start watching Power Slap, they have a certain opinion, then when they come to an event, it changes?
100%. It's hard to wrap your head around and think about it, but in the early days of the UFC, everybody used to say, this is disgusting, this isn't a real sport, boxing is real, this isn't, blah, blah, blah. We heard all that stuff. And then this is new and it's different, and you see it on social media, but then when you go live, it's a totally different experience live. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi Dana, here.
Yay.
First, congratulations for the great event.
Thank you.
I've been watching Vasily Dumpling for years, and I think he started the sport.
I agree.
Now he became the champion.
He definitely started the sport. I mean, he's the guy that got me into it.
Now he became the champion, so what do you think is next for him? Will he retire as a champion or defend the title?
Yeah, now he'll defend the title, but I agree with you to expand on that a little more. In probably, I don't know, it was 17 or 18, 2017 or 18, I started seeing this on social media, and Dumpling was the guy I originally saw. And I was into it. It wasn't like, at first when you see it, you're like, holy shit, what is this? But then as I wanted to see who won. I would watch till the end to see who won, and the rest is history. But he is definitely the guy that started the sport. And to be sitting here today in Saudi Arabia, of all places, and him winning the title here, it's pretty cool.
Thank you for this. Thank you for getting him in the power slap, and thank you for tonight.
Thanks for coming.
Дана, приветствую. UFC и так сейчас лига номер один в мире, это очевидно. Но что изменится с приходом Трампа к власти? Это все-таки человек, который очень любит посещать турниры UFC и является твоим близким товарищем. И плюс также, что изменится с твоей новой должностью в группе Мета?
First of all, great to see that UFC is already the #1 promotion in the world, right? But now that Donald Trump is the president, will anything change for the UFC itself? And will anything change now with your new role in the Meta group?
No, I mean, the only thing that really changes is that he is the president again. He's always been a huge UFC fan. And he and I have been really good friends for many years. That's not going to change. And then as far as me being on the board of Meta, yeah, I'm a lot busier. I've been doing work already on the Meta board, but then as soon as I get back is my first live 2-day board meeting. So other than me being busier, one of my really good friends being the president of the United States, and all the other shit that I got to do, nothing's really different.
Ничего не должно измениться, он уже давно фанат UFC, он приходил на события, он будет приходить на события, он остается, был моим лучшим другом, одним из моих лучших друзей, остался моим одним из лучших друзей. А насчет того, что я работаю теперь в Meta, это просто означает, что я намного больше занят, и у меня намного больше занятости, и по прилету домой у меня будет уже одна из первых встреч с людьми в Meta, поэтому ничего не изменится, он будет приходить, я просто намного больше занят.
В последнее время появилось очень много новостей о лиге GFL. Она подписала практически всех, кого уволили из UFC, всех ветеранов UFC. Видишь ли ты в них каких-то конкурентов или все-таки это какой-то мыльный пузырь?
There's a lot of news now about the GFL league. Pretty much everybody who's retired from the UFC is now signed by this new GFL league. Do you see them at all as a competitor, or do you think this is just basically smoke, blowing smoke?
No, I don't think it's blowing smoke. I think these guys are blowing real cash. I mean, these guys are throwing a lot of money around, and I love it. Good for the fighters. It's good for them. And I don't know anything about his business plan or what the deal is, but no, I don't consider any combat sports my competition. My competition is the NFL, college football, soccer. Big movies that come out on Saturday. I don't look at other combat sports and look at them as competitors.
Я не думаю, что это мыльный пузырь, мне просто кажется, что он собирается потратить большую-большую кучу денег. Это бойцы, которые профессионалы, которым предложили очень много денег, поэтому, ну и хорошо, я просто не знаю, какой у него бизнес-план, и как он сможет как долго он сможет этим заниматься. А насчет того, что они мои соперники, какие-то конкуренты, ни в коем случае никакая другая лига в этом спорте не является моими конкурентами. Я конкурирую с американским футболом, с баскетболом, с футболом, может быть, даже с фильмами большими блокбастерами, которые выходят, но ни в коем случае ни с кем в этом спорте.
И последнее от меня. Все фанаты ММА очень долго хотели увидеть Федора Емельяненко в UFC. В итоге этого не получилось, но сейчас у Федора Емельяненко есть самый сильный ученик Вадим Немков, который провел свой последний бой в PFL. Хотел бы Дана подписать его в UFC и, возможно, уже ведут какие-то переговоры.
Long time ago, and for the longest time, people wanted to see Fedor Emelianenko in UFC. And then now he's retired, obviously, but he has Vadim Nemkov, who is one of his star pupils, who has just fought his last fight in PFL. Would you be interested in signing Vadim Nemkov for the UFC?
I don't know. I mean, sitting right here off the top of my head, we haven't talked about it. We haven't talked about it.
Сейчас прям так сказать не могу, мы не говорили еще об этом, просто не говорили.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Поздравляю с ивентом, потому что Василий победил, ты болел за него. Хочется спросить в первую очередь, о чем пообщались после победы Василия, и есть ли смысл, может быть, провести турнир на родине пельмени в России?
First of all, congratulations. Dumpling won. It seemed as though you were rooting for him. First question I wanted to ask is, you talked a little bit on stage. What was said, if you can? And also, now that he's a champion, would you have any interest in doing a power slap at his motherland in Russia?
Well, like I said to this gentleman over here, you know, Dumpling is the guy who started it all, and he's the guy that definitely got me interested in it. You know, you know, I don't root for anybody during the fights. Whoever wins, wins. But Dumpling, when I went up there, he said, "Congratulations, Dana White." What did he say? "Your dream has come true," he said, or something like that.
I'm now a champion in your promotion.
Go ahead and tell him what he said, yeah.
Твоя мечта сбылась, я теперь чемпион в твоей лиге, он сказал. Дэнни сказал. А насчет того, что я за него болел, я не болел за него, я всегда обычно соблюдаю нейтралитет, кто лучше, тот пусть победит.
Вот по поводу боя Магомеда Анкалаева против Алекса Перейры, он пройдет как раз месяц Рамадан. Вот, как долго команда думала над тем, чтобы согласиться, и я думаю, никто из бойцов мусульман не хочет драться в этот месяц. Интересно, почему не стали, так скажем, жалеть Магомеда?
Regarding the fight between Pereira and Ankalaev, that fight is going to be in March, which is going to be during Ramadan. Do you know how long that team took to actually make a decision for him to fight during Ramadan? And it seems as though most Muslim fighters would not take a Ramadan fight. Why didn't UFC spare Magomed?
The question is, how long did it take?
His team decided to fight during that holiday.
I have no idea. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea how long it took. And what's the other part of the question?
Why didn't you spare a Muslim fighter and made him fight for the belt during Ramadan?
Why didn't I spare him?
As opposed to making him fight not during the holy
Well,
holiday.
listen, if you have so many Muslim fighters and none of them will fight, you know, during a block of time, what happens when they're champions? We got to schedule. If you want the opportunity, you got to fight.
Очень много есть бойцов-мусульмане. Если они не будут драться вообще в этот святой месяц, то кто-то должен все-таки драться. Поэтому они должны назначать турниры, и если они готовы, они должны с ним биться.
Вот по поводу Ислама Макхачева, он на этой неделе заявил, что если ему предложат, то он готов драться в среднем весе против Дрикуса. Готов ли Дана, может быть, дать ему такой шанс?
Islam Makhachev has stated that if you give him opportunity, he'll go up to middleweight and fight the champ Dricus du Plessis. Would you give him that chance to move up and fight that champ?
He would move up to middleweight.
He'd fight the middleweight champ Dricus.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Listen, if he wants to move up to 170, we can talk. Moving up to 185 is a whole nother level.
Я не знаю насчет этого, потому что, подняться, может быть, в полусредний, это еще можно поговорить, но в средний это уже как-то слишком, нет?
А есть ли какие-то планы на Макхачева тогда, на данный момент?
Other plans for you for Islam? You have any plans for him?
When we do, we'll announce it.
Когда будут, мы расскажем.
Thank you.
Dana, over here.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I want to tell you that you are the greatest promoter of all time.
Thank you, sir.
No doubt about it. Congratulations on the show today. I think that was the loudest crowd ever. So what's your plan on Power Slab and UFC for Saudi Arabia? Are you going to see UFC and Power Slab once a year or twice a year? You come here now in 7 months, I guess, twice. So what's your plan?
What is your plan for Power Slap and UFC in Saudi Arabia? You've been here twice in the last 7 months. Will you be coming here twice a year at least?
Yeah, I'm actually meeting with, Sheikh Turgi tomorrow. So we will talk about new plans for Power Slap and UFC and probably a lot of other things. So yeah, I actually I like him very much and I respect him. You guys know me. If I don't like somebody, I'm not shy about talking about it, and I probably wouldn't be here doing all these things. I actually like him a lot, I respect him, and I think we're going to do a lot of stuff together.
So is there any chance we're going to see pay-per-views over here?
Are there any chance we're going to see a pay-per-view here?
Yeah, I mean, anything is possible. Anything is possible.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Hi.
thank you. Hi.
Hello. For many Saudis, this is the first time they see the game Power Slap live. Do you think that such a night would excite them or intrigue them into becoming future slappers?
For many Saudis, this is the first time they see the game of Power Slap live. Do you think that seeing it live will excite them and inspire them to become slappers themselves?
I do, because when you think about even the UFC, So when we first started the UFC, there were only a couple of camps that existed. And as it started to get bigger and better, I mean, look at, there's camps all over the world. There's champions from all over the world. There's contenders from all over the world. And like I was saying earlier, now that there's actually real money involved, the answer is yes. I think you'll. And just so you guys know, I don't hear well. So if you say something and you're like, I said that in English, why is he translating it? Just because I don't hear well. Thank you.
Dana, the Crazy Hawaiian dropping down to heavyweight is pretty big in the power slap world. What are your thoughts on that one?
The Crazy Hawaiian dropping down to heavyweight is pretty big news in the power slap world. What do you think about that?
Yeah, he looked good. I mean, he looked physically in the best shape I've ever seen him in tonight. So I think it's interesting. Yes.
He looked pretty light on his toes. He's looking pretty athletic. What would you do if he said to you, I want a shot in the UFC?
What's that?
He looks pretty light on his toes. What do you think if he would say he wants a shot in the UFC? Would you give it to him?
Ooh, the Crazy Hawaiian? That's like talking about our guys boxing coming over here. I don't know how well the Crazy Hawaiian would do in UFC.
He doesn't have to do well.
He what?
He doesn't have to do well.
I'm good. I'm good with power slap.
Hello, Mr. White. Congrats for the show. UFC having 3 Turkish connection fighters, İbo Aslan, Kaan Ofli and Volkan Özdemir. Do you any plan bring to UFC Istanbul, Turkey?
There's 3 fighters that have Turkish connections. Do you have any plans to bring the UFC fight to Istanbul, Turkey?
We're going everywhere. The answer is yes. I mean, I met some guys the other day who were pushing hard for me to bring a fight to Georgia. And could it make any more sense than to go to Georgia right now? No, it really does. So the answer to your question is yes. Whenever you find talented people and they start to, we're talking about going to South Africa right now. And, so if we get some guys from Turkey that become, contenders and do well, it makes all the sense in the world to go. Like Spain. I'm trying to go to Spain right now too. Go ahead.
Hello. You organize events in United Arab Emirates and here Saudi Arabia. Is Europe including power slaps plan in the future?
You organize events here in Saudi Arabia and UAE. What about Europe? Is power slap going to Europe in the future?
Yes, sir. Qatar too. And we would love to go to Europe. Absolutely. And probably the place that we would go first would be South Africa too. We would take it down to South Africa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Дейна,
Yep.
Мухаммад Макаев сегодня присутствовал в качестве болельщика на турнире по пощечинам. Недавно уволенный из UFC Мухаммад Макаев. Виделись ли вы и не исключаешь ли ты возможности, что в будущем Мухаммад все-таки вернется в UFC?
Muhammad Mokaev was here. He was here as a fan of power slap. Did you have any conversation with him, and do you accept that there's a possibility that he might come back to UFC at some point?
Yeah, no, I didn't see him. I didn't see him or talk to him. Yeah, listen, I thought I made that pretty clear. Sean, Hunter, and Mick did not like working with him, and they did not want to re-sign him. He's a free agent. I mean, he could be a world champion somewhere else, and maybe they'll like him better than Sean, Mick, and Hunter do. Yeah.
Нет, я не видел его, не говорил с ним, но, по-моему, я уже отвечал когда-то на этот вопрос, то, что Шан, Мик, они не любят его, то есть у них не получается с ним работать. Он свободный боец, он может быть чемпионом в какой-то другой лиге, но если бы у них были лучшие отношения, может быть, была возможность, но мне кажется, что нет.
И один вопрос еще от меня. После того, как Арман Сарукян снялся с боя против Ислама Махачева, ты сказал, что он упустил свой шанс, и следующим он не получит титульник. При этом Арман остается главным претендентом на пояс, и как будто бы нету других кандидатов. Значит ли это, что UFC разозлило то, что Арман снялся с поединка, хотя, по сути, да, от этого никто не застрахован?
When Arman wasn't able to fight in LA, you said that he's not going to be the next contender, he's not going to be the one fighting for the belt next. However, he's still in the first position. It seems as though he is a clear contender and there's nobody else who's clearer than him. So can we say that the fact that he wasn't able to fight got you angry or got the UFC upset? Because nobody's protected from that. Anybody could have an injury and fall off the last day. So
I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there about this. You'll just have to watch and see how this plays out.
Я знаю, что есть какие-то теории заговора насчет этого всего, но просто нужно подождать и посмотреть, как все пройдет.
Thank you.
Yep. Good. Thanks a lot, you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.